Creepypasta time. Clowns have always creeped me out. But after today, those freaks make me want to fucking die. The Vaseline jar was empty and the crusty tissues were full. I stuffed them both deep into the passenger seat cushions of my Yugo so they'd be well hidden. It's clown time, motherfuckers. I stumbled out of the car, barely able to balance in the giant, floppy clown shoes. Also, I was hungover. Or more accurately, I was still coming down off the coke high and the quaaludes hadn't really kicked in yet. Nothing takes the edge off like ludes do, believe me. The paint stretched and cracked as I walked, giving me tinkling little chills of delight. I always cover my nude body completely with clown makeup, even if I'm the only one who can see it. I love the thrill of paint on my sphincter. I love it. Mr. and Mrs. invite me into the backyard. What fun we're going to have. It's Mr.'s 40th birthday, so his wife thought it would be fun to have a childhood throwback party instead of a soul-crushing over the hill shindig to remind him that he's mostly dead. Good news for me, because people always have their guards up around kids, which makes this clown thing extra difficult. Who wants to see Uncle Beans make a balloon animal? I ask in my best third-person bouncy clown lilt. I got to work, my long, smooth, pale, sexy fingers dancing like a cluster of ballerinas chained together. It's a whiner dog. I called out. Oops, I forgot the dog part. They laughed awkwardly. I had started the second one, this time making 2 balloon phalluses and 3 inflated testicles, when Mr. asked to change activities. Prudish motherfucker. Let's take pictures with Uncle Beans. I shouted, beckoning toward my silly smiley super photo booth. I pulled the first guest into a sitting position on my lap, which she did not like. But it's important to establish precedent early. Each one of them sat on my lap for pictures, my excited sweat melting the clown makeup beneath the goofy outfit. Mrs. was last in line. I sniffed her hair deeply, trembling to my core. You smell like earthy potatoes and bubble wrap, I whispered directly into her ear. She hopped of my clown pants like I'd zapped her. I guess she was just as prudish as that wet blanket of a husband. Let's take a look at the photos. I called to everyone, gathering them in to get a closer look. Something's wrong, the first guest said. How did you get this picture? Blurted a second. Is that my house? A third person asked. I was starting to get pissed. I'd gone through the effort of stealing the guest list ahead of time, finding out all their addresses, sneaking into their homes, pilfering treasured portraits, photoshopping my pic into their family, and presenting the finished work. Uncle Beans will go the extra mile for a laugh. I'm so fucking creeped out right now, guest number 2 said to her friends, because she was a total bitch. He's in my family photo, just behind my son's head. How did he do this? That kind of douchebaggery makes Uncle Beans sad and mad, but I can fake it. Excuse me, mister. I called out in my happiest voice. For my next trick, I'm going to get 4 pounds lighter. Where's your toilet? Once I was alone in the shitter, I could admire myself in the bathroom mirror. I pulled back my jumpsuit so that I could stare at my nipple, still completely coated in a thick layer of alabaster white makeup. You're a sexy bitch, Uncle Beans, and don't you let a single person tell you otherwise. I lifted up my pant leg where I knew a treasure would be waiting for me. Sure enough, a big, beautiful maroon scab was almost ready to go. Its hard, uneven surface was like touching basalt, so hard and warm, just starting to flake away at the edges. I pulled once and winced, twice and hissed, but the third time saw the whole scab flake off with a spurts of blood. I picked it up and examined both sides with a shaking hand. The backside was mostly white and smooth. Marvelous, just marvelous. I covered my bleeding knee with the clown pants. Too bad they're white. I laid the scab on the bathroom counter and jammed a finger up my nose, hooking my nail on a beautiful golden nugget. I pulled, and it stretched long as my nose opened up. The best boogers are like raw eggs. You want a hard, crusty shell to keep it all together, but a long string of glorious goo hanging down like an egg white. That part is the best, because it's the saltiest. It hung down like honey, so I had to aim carefully before dabbing it directly into the center of the scab. I pressed the crusty part of the booger on top of the gooey part, and they stuck together. Then I opened the medicine cabinet and found what I was looking for, slipping it into my pocket. I popped a zit, and I didn't wipe the pus off of the mirror. Walking was slightly easier as I headed into the kitchen, because the lewds were really starting to do their thing. Smiling, headed to the fridge, popped open the carton of milk, and watched the scab/booger patty sink into the liquid. Then I pulled out the laxative I'd pilfered, and I poured the whole bottle into the milk as well. Good thing it's marketed as flavor-free. "What are you doing in here?" Guest number 3 asked, concerned. I closed the fridge and smiled. "Uncle Beans is just getting the next surprise ready. Head on out and I'll be right there." She looked at me like I was wearing a hat made of human dicks. Fortunately, she turned around and left me alone, and good riddance. Her hair smelled like carrot stew. I turned around and noticed just how big their broom closet was, because it occupied the entire cavity beneath the staircase. Then my colon let me know that we were about to hit DEFCON 5. I knew I shouldn't have gotten high and eaten all those prunes. I raced back to the bathroom, peeled off my clown suit, and pressed my ass down just in time to wreck their toilet instead of the entire goddamn bathroom floor. "You were welcome." I didn't wipe my ass because I believe in freedom. Besides, 99% of it had been blasted directly into the porcelain like a celebratory champagne cork. I got dressed, turned around, and wrapped one of my turds in some TP. I didn't flush. The kitchen was on the way outside, so I was able to make a subtle detour to the oven. I threw in the turd, closed it quickly, then set it to 110 degrees. They were all staring at me as I emerged. That's the glorious moment any performer craves, the undivided attention of an enraptured audience. Besides, it was best to draw attention away from my erection. People freak out when they notice, and it just kills the mood. "What have you got hidden in here?" I asked the first male guest, discovering something in his shirt pocket. "Oh my, do these belong to you?" I think it's a pretty good trick, but it was only met with awkward laughter. "Wait, are those my panties?" Guest number 1 asked. "Oops." I called out, fingertips over my lips. "What would your husband think?" The man next to her glared at me while grabbing his wife's hand in a white knuckle grip. I pulled several pairs of panties from the wrong partners. Hilarious. They'd had no idea that I was stealing more than just photos from their home. Mr. approached me afterward and whispered to me, "We're going to say my name." "What?" He was nervous. "Say my name," I growled. He answered in a low, quiet voice, "Uncle Beans." I shuddered. "We're going to ask you to leave early." I flared my nostrils at him, but the clown nose hit it well. You can never tell what a clown is actually thinking. "I'll still need the full 2-hour fee." He nodded and handed me $10. I turned away and stomped off around the side of the house. Then I did an about-face, opened the living room window, and climbed inside. Damn, that closet was big. They didn't notice me, despite spending an entire week snuggled up all cozy in it. Can you believe it took so long to fix my Yugo? I had no other place to live while it was in the shop. Goddamn mechanics, you just can't trust them. Some people are born wrong, I guess, and the rest of us really have to keep an eye out for them. The best part of the closet? It was within direct earshot of the toilet, so I got to hear every bowel movement that Mr. and Mrs. made for an entire week. They never figured out it was the milk. I found this note on my kitchen table 2 hours ago, and immediately took it to the police. "My wife and I have been having a horrible week. She kept telling me that something was in the house, that the strange sounds weren't just normal creaking noises, and that the bizarre birthday party had something to do with it. There were bathroom issues, too, but it went far beyond laxatives. We always felt like we were being watched. Strange sweat appeared on clean underwear, and we had to replace the oven entirely. The cops say Uncle Beans does this all the time, but they have no idea who he really is. My wife is leaving me over this. Please, please trust your instincts. If it sounds like something is inside your house, don't dismiss it so easily." I wish I hadn't.